Hey, this is Hunter from Black Valve Media, and today we're going to be doing a budget comparison, 3 tiers of a streaming or video conferencing setup. So Evan went to 5 and below the other day and saw a microphone and a webcam and a little ring light, and they were like $30 for all of it, you know, like $5 for each or $10. So Evan was kind of inspired, said, okay, what if we took this $30 setup and compared it to, you know, another setup where the microphone alone was $30. And then we took it a step further and said, well, what if we compared that to where that was like the price of the cables that hooked everything up? So that's kind of the basis here is like, you know, does this $30 setup even compare remotely to the higher tier setups? So we're gonna go through all 3 of those and give you some in-depths. Okay, so we've got a few things set up here, but I'm gonna start continuing this setup. We've got the mic and the light and the webcam, and I'm gonna start to see that stuff in OBS just so we can start to, you know, see where we need to put this camera. So all these devices are USB powered, so there's no extra power cables to run. So this probably is your easiest setup with, I think, 3 total USBs all told. So hopefully all these just show right up. And ideally, it's just a generic webcam driver. The light obviously just needs power, and the microphone should just be a generic microphone driver. So hopefully we can just plug those right in. So let's check it out. We have a scene in a new OBS profile. So let's see if we can just add this camera. We'll go to video capture device, USB 2.0 PC camera. It's gotta be it. Oh yeah, gorgeous. This thing is awesome. It's a good shot. Okay, so there's Bailey. Is that it? I feel like it's cropping it. Like, this thing is so tight. It's such a tight. So I'm gonna try to move this camera around and see if we can get it to look right. I mean, I guess if you were like streaming, you know, you could just use the 4:3. You know? That's kind of the idea. But if you're trying to be in like a web chat, it's all gonna be 16:9. All right, so we've got a little further along with this setup. We've got some gameplay footage going on in OBS, so you can kind of see if this was like a lower third that it almost works. We've moved around a little bit. This is just the front light, which like as a little corner of the screen for so cheap, literally like $5 for this camera. That is workable. If you're like on a serious tight budget, like it could work. We wanted to see if this camera would work a little bit better with a little better lighting. So we pulled another little, it's not even that expensive of a softbox. I mean, it's probably like a $50 light. I'm not sure, whatever it is. Well, let's flick that on and see what that looks like. So this is a little bounce light we have going on. We're just bouncing it off of a bounce card because like we did straight on, it was like too bright. It kind of killed our backlight situation. So let's see what this is sounding like. Because it honestly, like, if you sound good, it almost is less important of what you look like as you can sound good on the stream. So let's add, we're gonna go to microphone USB 2.0. Oh no, that's the webcam for sure. It's the same thing, microphone USB audio device. That's what you need here. Yeah, I got signal. Let's say hello.
All right, check 1, 2, testing. How's it going?
It's there, so yeah. That's a positive, but there's no like. What if you adjust the position? So let's try that. Let's try to listen from the side. So.
All right, how does this sound?
Oh, it's way better.
Way better?
Yeah.
So would you comparing this to a phone? Would you rather just use the
audio? Phone? This might be better than a
phone.
But it's definitely a side address mic. All right, so turn it around like it was before. Yeah, and like tilt it down a little. Yeah. That's like how they want to use this.
This way is how it's sounding here.
All right, so in short, that's the cheap setup. This is with the ring light, the cheap mic. Say hello.
Hello.
Yeah, see, there it is. That's not bad. It could be really worse. Yeah. With our backlight that kind of shows on our backdrop, and but for really cheap, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. So that's the low budget setup. Really cheap, down and dirty. If you just had a few bucks and wanted to just try it out and get started, this is a really not that bad of a way to try it out. Easiest to set up, very few cables, no drivers to jump through, pretty plug and play. Okay, so for our mid setup, we've got this GoPro set up and plugged into the computer. It was a bit of a hog to get set up. There's some steps that we were trying to understand. The biggest thing is the GoPro 7 is not compatible with GoPro's app where you can just bring it in as a webcam. So if you have an 8 or higher, you're gonna be able to do that. But since we have a 7 with us here today, we're actually using this $50, I think, $15 capture card. It's HDMI to USB. Still need a micro HDMI to HDMI cable from the GoPro into this card. It's really, zero latency, and when we first plugged in, we had latency, and what that was coming from was a setting, the stabilization setting in the GoPro needs to be off. So have stabilization off, and you also need to have the HDMI out setting to live. There's a couple other options to make sure that is set to live, stabilization is off, and it's pretty good. So we actually went to linear instead of like there's super view, there's wide, and there's linear. So this is like, we want to be a little tighter of a lens for this just because of the setup that we're currently in. Maybe you have a bigger background that you can have. Since our background's kind of small, we're tighter. There's also a zoom feature. So we zoomed in on the GoPro and then plugged it in, and we were able to get that. So let's bring it up into OBS and take a look at it. If this doesn't show up right away, just double check all your cable connections, make sure that's working. But also in the past, I've just hit deactivate and activate, and it's showed back up. So sometimes it connects and there's no video, and then once you do connect video, you have to deactivate, reactivate. So kind of a plug and play thing once you kind of get around the hoops of the GoPro.
Sounds decent. Better than the last one?
It's better than the last one, but it's not directional at all. Like I can hear me just as well as you almost.
Right, and then how does it sound from here?
Well, it sounds pretty good. It's not the best thing ever, but it's not bad at all. So yeah, this is with our key light. It's one light out front, just key in her, and then we have that backlight on the backdrop, just kind of lighting the background. So this is a pretty good look. I mean, I think it's substantially better than the last one. All right, so for this shootout, we wanted to see what a cheap interface and a little more
cheap XLR mic
than just the cheap USB mic is. So we're gonna hear the difference of that now. We're gonna swap that out.
Yeah, how's it going, guys? So what's going on? How's the mic sounding? The second mic,
USB.
so the USB one. Which one's sounding better?
But I mean, I don't know, they're pretty similar, like overall. They're just very, I don't know, it's not like a wow amount of difference. But I would say like from a use factor, like being able to use the interface, for me, like I prefer that over a USB mic, because then I can just plug the mic into that and have headphones plugged into the interface. It's just a little more convenient. And especially if you had monitors, then you have monitor control from the interface. So it is an upgrade, but it's not necessarily needed, especially if you're not, as into high fidelity audio and, having all the different stuff in front of you. So it's an option, but it's definitely not like audibly way better. So we ended up needing like a short tripod for this. So, whatever solution you can come up with based on your scenario is obviously the right answer. This little baby tripod is not a bad option at all. We got the GoPro, the mid-tier, was that $30 mic? So you got the $30 mic. I mean, all in, it's a pretty affordable package, and it's definitely a step up from the, what is that, Marshalls, or what is it? Five Below. It's a pretty good step over the 5 and Below setup. So I'm pretty happy with it. So we have the USB HDMI capture device, which is okay, and it's especially good for its price. We've definitely had problems with it in the past. Just sometimes they don't connect, but other solutions we've had is just have 3 of them, and it's honestly the same price as having one of these, which is the Camlink by Elgato, which is same idea, USB to HDMI. But a really solid option as well for about $100. So, that's the mid-tier. It's pretty good. It looks a lot better than our first tier. Let's dive in to that high tier. So for this tier, we have a Canon C100, a Rokinon 24mm lens. So we have a 4-channel Camlink Pro. That's a PCI card inside of this computer. So that's what we're going into out of the C100 through HDMI. We've got a Astra 6x light keying her, and then actually the light from earlier that we've been using, bouncing off for a little bit of fill on her fill side. And then we have just another flavor of a backlight. It's a RGB light. It just gives you some color in the back. Honestly, it's a cheap solution, but it's something that works. So it's another option that we like to use. For audio side of things, we have the RE320. This is a large diaphragm, like podcaster style or like radio microphone. It's the little brother to the RE20, which is like a legendary microphone. So really great for just talking to camera type stuff. And then she's rocking the white M50. So let's put this camera into OBS and take a look at everything and just see where we're at. All right, so we're taking our RE320 into a Focusrite Scarlett 2i2. It's a really, really great interface. We have a lot of Focusrite products here. Really can't recommend them enough. Really good preamps. It's USB powered, pretty easy to use, and the driver's plug and play. All right, Bailey, go ahead and say a few things.
All right. Hey, how you doing, YouTube? We're here in Cleveland tonight.
There it is. Awesome. That sounds really, really good, as expected. But yeah, it looks good. It sounds good. This is kind of the top tier of what we're looking at here today. So, you know, it wasn't this setup. It wasn't really the hardest. I think that mid tier was like the most, you know, fiddly with the GoPro and stuff. So you kind of, you know, you pay for the big stuff and it's a little bit easier. But so was the first tier. I mean, if you want ease, that first tier was a breeze to set up. It was minutes before we were ready to go for that one. So, but this looks really, really phenomenal, and it's overkill. So yeah, for this setup, you know, the other setups really you could get away with this lower third a lot of times because it's a really small portion of the screen, so it kind of would come off as looking all right. But the biggest advantage here is you can go full screen and have a full image, and it's really high quality, and the lighting's good, and it's very pleasing. It's a nice set, and Bailey looks like rock and roll right now. So, you know, it's depending on what you're doing, you know, you can figure out what you need, you know, for how often you're going to be using it, or kind of your use case. If you're just doing Zoom calls and you want to step it up a notch, you know, maybe the first tier is something for you. If you're starting on YouTube, that mid tier is something you want to get into, and maybe you're hitting it big with YouTube and you want to take it to the next level, this is how to do it. The beauty of this is, you know, we've made these tiers just based off of kind of price level for each item, but if there's something you want more than another, you can use bits and pieces from each tier to build your own custom tier. You know, if you really want good audio and that's important to you, which I feel that way strongly, you may want to start out with something like the RE320 and interface just to get started with maybe a webcam. You know, other options are using your phone. That's an option out there as well. So in this video, we covered a lot of what to use and not necessarily the bits and pieces on how exactly to set those up. So we have other videos that cover some of these topics, but if you have any questions or comments about that, please just let us know, and we'll try to get back to you on helping you come up with a solution for your hardware. So, you know, the software and hardware, they all have to play, and sometimes you can have errors and versions, and you know, things just get complicated, and it's a little more than just plugging it in and going. So we just want to be clear that this video is really about seeing the options that are out there and not so much how to exactly set them up. So if you're not totally experienced in it, some of it might be a little more difficult to get set up. So an issue we run into a lot with any sort of streaming or anytime you're getting video through a computer is processing time can create delay, and you may have issues with that. So if there's a topic like that that's very specific that you want to see another video on, just let us know, and we'll put something together to kind of cover those topics, those hard, more intricate details that maybe, you know, a lot of people gloss over or maybe not think is hard, but it's something hard for you, you know, let us know. So I think a big lesson with this is that no matter what your budget is, I think as long as you take some time and make decisions that are improving your image or improving your audio quality, you're gonna get something usable out of it, especially in today's market. That $30 budget, I cannot believe how much it really worked. I kind of expected it to just not work, but so that's my takeaway for this. So we did our best to make sure everything in this video is in the description, link below. Those links do help this channel, so if you're gonna get something, click through the link and that helps us out. So hit that subscribe button if you enjoyed the video, and thanks for watching.
All right, how does this sound?
Oh, it's way better.
Way better?
Yeah.
So would you comparing this to a phone? Would you rather just use the phone?
I think audio this might be better than a phone.
Yeah, how's it going, guys? So what's going on? How's the mic sounding? The second mic,
USB.
so the USB one. Which one's sounding better? All right, hey, how you doing, YouTube? We're here in Cleveland tonight.